G'day everyone, welcome back to ReefStock at Home, episode 11, and today is going to be the Down Under episode. G'day everyone, my name is David Mai, and again, welcome back to ReefStock at Home, the Australian series today for episode 11. We're going to showcase a couple of the vendors that are going to be coming to ReefStock Australia, which is happening in February 26th and 27th over in Sydney, New South Wales, and we can't be more excited to finally have a reefing show in Australia. We've been locked down in Australia, or basically the east coast of Australia, for quite a significant amount of time, and only recently have just got out of lockdown. So one of the biggest things we missed during lockdown is definitely having the reefing shows and being able to catch up with all of our reefing mates and sharing all the stories and everything else about our beautiful hobby as well. So before we get into some of the vendors that are going to be a part of today's episode, tell you a little bit about myself and my tank behind me here. I have a little YouTube channel called First Time Reefer TV. It was basically set up for me to document my journey of just venturing into the reefing aquarium world and setting up my first tank. And my first tank was a little Cade 2-foot tank, and as you can see behind me, I've progressed a fair way beyond that. So if you guys could jump over and check out my YouTube channel, give it a subscribe while you guys are there, check out some of the content. I document everything from this build here behind me, which is my dream reef build, touring local stores, checking out local events, taking local tank tours across Australia as well, because I'm fortunate enough previously before lockdown to be able to travel around and check out the beautiful tanks that we have across Australia. So a little bit more about my build. This is my personal rendition of what I am trying to achieve, which is the dream reef tank. The tank here, as you can see, is quite shallow. The dimensions are 8 by 4 by 18 inches deep. It is a custom water box tank, and I did put a little brace along the top here just to avoid a little bit of the water spill getting over the edges, and probably give me that little bit of peace of mind for the tank. Originally, this was going to be an SPS dominated tank, but as you can see there, the LPS are definitely making their presence known in this tank. But you know, as the colonies and the little frags that I've got in the tank here do progress and grow larger, this I think will end up being an SPS dominated tank, certainly down the track. Now, as I said, the water box custom tank is an 8 by 4 by 18 inches deep. Including the sump, we're looking at about 300 gallons. These are lit up with the Illumagic X4 light. These are brand new lights, aren't available in the market at the moment. I've basically been beta testing for them, and these lights are going to be something special. They've got some brand new pucks in there. They've adjusted the intensities, the UV spectrum, the blue spectrum, to give it just this really nice wide band of light spectrum that makes it perfect to grow a variety of different corals. And you can see I've got them mounted from memory about 700 high above the tank, and 12 units here. It's just this beautiful spread across the tank. That front one I have turned off just for now because I've got a couple of LPS that like a little bit lower light, but I will get that back on the blue soon. But these are going to be beautiful lights when they hit the market, and you can see, I don't know if you can actually see, but with the color that it puts out, the blanket light is just absolutely exceptional. I've been extremely happy, been able to color up some amazing colonies under these lights, and a lot of the coral in this tank, especially the SPS, I basically bought from the bargain bin at my local fish stores, and luckily here in Australia we are fortunate enough to have acro colonies in the bargain bin. They do brown out, and I love being able to turn a brown colony into something special like this hyper strawberry shortcake. That was probably one of my most prized pieces in the tank, as well as colouring up some beautiful frags. We've got the Maleficent here, the Red Polyp Dallas, the Frankie's Goosebumps, shortcake up here, some PC Rainbow, and I'm starting to venture into some of the higher end frags now, and watching them grow it is something spectacular. But I am a true LPS fan at heart, and I'm certainly glad that I put some big colonies of LPS into here. We've got the Hammer Garden sitting at the front here. My biggest addiction is probably my Gonnies. So I've got a beautiful Gonnie garden there, and you can see front and center, I've got the Corals Down Under Inferno, which is a spectacular Gonnie. One of my favorites. Beautiful acan garden in the front there. And this rock work I actually built all myself using Marco rock and a glue that I now bring into Australia and supply to the local market. It's basically Marco base rock and some shelf rock, but actually broke apart the base rock completely and made this skeletal structure, and then added the shelf in to make sort of little platforms to house all these corals on. And it's very, very minimalistic. It is a little bit less rock than what you would traditionally have in a tank this size. But I like that less is more approach, less rock, more coral, and eventually I think I'm gonna run out of real estate and probably have to add a couple of more pieces in. So inside the tank, I've got 4 wave makers. I've got 2 of the Tunzi Stream 3s just sitting on that side there. Over on this side, I've got 2 MP60s, and the flow has been a little bit hard to sort of dial in because I do want to keep this side completely free as well, to keep that traditional sort of peninsular style of tank. But I think I'm slowly getting there with getting the flow right. And I mean, the SPS and LPS are certainly both happy in this tank. So if we go underneath, I run a custom 6-foot Hamali acrylic sump. It's got a built-in roller mat in there. The skimmer I've got is the GW30 skimmer from Delua, the biggest one that they do. DC pump skimmer that's absolutely silent and can skim like an absolute beast. I've got a little bit of live rock and some biomedia in there. Not a huge amount, but enough to sort of just fill in those gaps down there. I'm gonna add a little bit more because the nutrients are just rising a little bit. And you can see I've got a refugium in there as well, with just one of the little Tuns refugium lights. I'm probably gonna have to add a second just to bump up that sort of intensity in the refuge a little bit, just to suck up a little bit more of the nutrients that are in the tank. Water management is done by the Alkatronic from Focustronic. That's paired up with the Dosetronic unit as well, so that completely controls my alkalinity testing as well as dosing of my calcium, alkalinity and magnesium to the tank. I do run a reef bot that does a test once a week just to keep an eye on my nitrates and my phosphates in the tank. And the return pumps for the system I run are 2 of the Deltec eFlow 12,000 pumps, which are a spectacular pump. Super silent, heaps of head height. One of the pumps that's pumping from here actually goes straight up into these pumps here onto the roof, and on top of the roof is actually where my chiller is. I use a SwimMax 7 kilowatt pool heat pump. Yes, it's designed to keep a pool at the right temperature. And when you get to tanks this sort of size, it does make it easier just to consider looking at some pool equipment because it is significantly cheaper, but probably more appropriate to the system as well. I run 160 watts of UV, and that's from the Deltec twin 80 watt units as well, which is an absolute beast. And some basic controls from my controller from Aquatronica. I don't really use it to control anything. It's basically more so just to monitor things and leak sensors and detectors, and just sort of give me some indication if anything is going wrong on the tank. So some future upgrades for this tank. Now that the consumption of the tank is certainly getting a little bit higher, I'm going to be adding in some a kalkwasser stirrer from Deltec. I'm going to add in a sulfur reactor from Pacific Sun just to help control some of the nitrates, because I do love my fish as well. And I love big fish, I love my tangs, and I feed them a lot. I want to make sure that they're nice, happy, healthy, and fat. So that takes a lot of food to get them going, and obviously that creates a fair bit of nitrate and nutrients in the tank. So the sulfur reactor is going to help. And I'm eventually going to get also the Deltec TwinTech 3000 calcium reactor onto the tank as well, now that the tank is getting to sort of that consumption level that sort of demands for that. So water-wise, supplements, I do use the Coral Essentials range, the full Coral Essentials range. So I've got their alkalinity, calcium, magnesium with their trace added into that. Dosing about 50 ml a day roughly. And then I also use their supplements, their Coral Essentials Amino, Coral Essentials Grow, and then the Coral Essentials Black Labels. So the Black Labels, their vitamin range, and gives your corals that extra pop and the advantage and growth, and it's just this magic solution in a bottle, and you guys just have to check it out. I do dose a little bit of iodine as well, and because I do have a significant amount of big colonies of gonnies, I am dosing a little bit of magnesium, manganese, just to keep up with the consumption of the tank. But overall, I am super happy with how the tank is going. Probably get a little bit more fish down the track, and I'm really looking forward to watching some of these colonies develop and grow and certainly become feeling, or much more feeling of the spaces that they're in now. But I'm really excited to see. This tank is probably running about 11 months running now, and it's been in the build for just over a year. I did a pretty low, slow, long cycle on this tank for about 5 months without any livestock in here whatsoever, just dosing a little bit of ammonia and keeping the bacteria going. It is a bare bottom with very minimal rock, so then that can, you know, sometimes spell a recipe for disaster. But fortunately, in this tank, I've sort of been able to avoid any crazy sort of disasters with algae or that dirty stage so far. So I've been certainly blessed in that aspect. And yeah, I can't wait to watch this tank develop over the next 12, 24, 36, 48 months as well. So back to today's video, we are going to be focusing and spotlighting and sharing the highlight on some of the fantastic vendors that are going to be at ReefStock Australia in February. Some local heroes, none other than Ollie, my mate Ollie from Reflections. There's the boys from Canberra Marine. There's also Aquahub, one of the distributors in Australia as well. And also Art Reef Rocks, who create some beautiful scapes that get shipped all around the country at the moment, and a sustainable approach to creating scapes and reefing as well. So do check out all of those guys in the upcoming videos. There is also a giveaway for this video as well from the guys at Ecotech Marine, so be sure to hang around in this video, like this video, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment in the comment section down below, and at the end of this episode, we're going to actually draw one lucky winner to win an Ecotech Marine Radeon G5 LED light from this episode. How awesome is that? So make sure you guys stick around because we're going to pull out a winner at the end of this. Special shout out to the sponsors of this episode. We've got Brightwell Aquatics, Ecotech Marine, Aquavitro, Nios, Polyp Lab, and ICP Analysis. Thank you very much for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check them out as well. And let's move on to the first video, which is going to be a recap of ReefStock 2019 with none other than Jake Adams giving his commentary over some of the video. And man, ReefStock 2019 had such great memories for me. One of the first reefing shows that I'd been to on that scale, more than just a frag meet, and just so many people from all across Australia, awesome vendors, coral that absolutely blew your mind, and I can't wait to do it all again. But check out this video from Jake at ReefStock 2019.
ReefStock Australia was so much fun, you guys. You know, last year, ReefStock Australia 2018 was the first year that Australia had ever had an American-style reef aquarium conference. This year, the people came out in droves. I just couldn't freaking believe how many people came out. The attendance was probably around 1,100 to 1,200, give or take. But what I was most impressed with was the engagement with the crowds and just how much the vendors have grown and improved and refined, I guess, their game and what they bring to the shows. The livestock vendors just, man, they packed it in. They had so many corals, and the dry good vendors just really got what they needed to do. Everybody understood and learned a lot from year one. So year two did not feel like the second year. It felt like the fifth year. So I'll just take a little moment to applaud all the ReefStock vendors, because me and my team, we set the stage, but you guys really showed up. You guys are the actors, you guys are the stars, and I couldn't do it without the participation of the Australian reef aquarium community. So we had some great speakers. My local LFS owner, Chris Kapp of Aquatic Art, came all the way to Sydney to talk about keeping healthy corals. This is what makes corals colorful. This is what makes them grow fast, and it's just all about healthy corals. So Chris Kapp really gave the folks some practical notes, some practical wisdom, and Julian Sprung followed up his series called Little Stories with Little Stories 3, talking about mangroves, talking about trees. I guess mangroves are trees. Talking about I don't know what else. I don't know, he talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and we did record both of those talks. And one thing you may have noticed is that I don't usually do a walkthrough of ReefStock Denver or Australia because kind of busy running the show, and I kind of want to let some other YouTubers shine for this particular event. And in Australia, man, they are so on the ball. We have put together a playlist of all of the ReefStock, produced videos so far. I think there's over 20 videos, so definitely check the link in the description below. I might maybe even pin it in the comments for the playlist to all the videos put together by, let's see, who do I have in here? We have First Time Reefer is in the house, Sam Parker of Parker's Reef, Two Gay Reefers, Gallery Aquatica, and I'm sure a couple more. So these guys are really diving down to what they see and what you could find at ReefStock Australia. And Two Gay Reefers, we're working together to put the ReefStock speaker presentations online. So that's Vincent, Chris Cap, and Julian Sprung. So look out for those here in the near future. But now what you're all here for, and what I'm actually also pretty excited to see, is the eye candy from ReefStock Australia, because last year was fun. Last year was interesting. There was a lot of fresh corals, but this year, these guys, the ReefStock Australia vendors, they saved some of the best corals to bring to this show to really make a statement. It was almost, kind of a competition of who had the nicest car at the meetup, except it was corals. And I was just floored from the very, very beginning. So let's dive in. I remember a lot more of the ReefStock Australia vendors this year than I did last year, but now it's been a month, so I'm not going to remember every single one of you guys that came to ReefStock Australia. Bear with me, but I remember some of them. So torch corals, super duper hot right now. Ocean Reefs Marine Aquariums had an incredible selection, everything but the gold torches, but there was the green with orange tips, and then this really cool brown with a yellow orange tip, it's kind of edged in green. Just this incredible diversity of glabs. Glabs is what they call torch corals in Australia. And another thing that really caught my attention is an Australian specialty. Every reef display in Australia has a yellow tip elegance coral. And I picked one up last year from the Fish Doctor. Shout out to Fish Doctor. And my colony is doing just super duper nice. But at ReefStock Australia, this year, there was a whole bunch of them, and then one thing I'd never even seen before, an orange tip elegance coral from Ocean Reefs Marine Aquarium, and Julian Sprung actually bought that one. I think he got that one with a couple of other yellow specimens. So him and I both recognize that, those might show up in Australia from time to time, but the yellow tip is very rare. The orange tip, man, I've never seen it. Although Ocean Reefs Marine Aquariums had brought out a colony at to MACMA this year. So we had some Australians participating at MACMA as well. All right, moving along. So this is Frankie's Frags, and he's just got like a super eclectic mix of corals. It's kind of a mixed bag, whether you want the frags very well organized, like Gallery Aquatica might do, so you can pick out exactly what frag you want, or like Frankie's Frags, he just kind of like mixes it all up. So you just really have to search and seek for the corals. I don't know, it's two awesome ways to present the corals, and Frankie's Frags is definitely kind of shaping himself after Jason Fox in America, whereas Gallery Aquatica is kind of shaping themselves after worldwide corals. So it's really cool to be able to recognize some of these Australian analogs to aquarium companies that we have here in the United States. So this is just like, I don't even know what to say about this. A ridiculous bouquet of Homophilia Australiensis, Scolies. They're not Scolemia anymore, but Scolies is a good colloquial name, and we have a lot more to show you further down this video. There's another one from Ocean Reefs Marine Aquarium. This was a neon, just fuchsia pink carpet anemone. It was expensive, but it had a little hints of green in it, and it was kind of a medium-sized one, so not like, not huge, but maybe about this big. And I totally would have gotten it, but the Australian market market for any host or fancy anemone is much better in Australia than it is here in the United States. So they can get a lot more money over there. So I'll wait to come across there. Actually, if any of the vendors in America have any carpet anemones that that have my name on it, hit me up, jake@reefbuilders.com. Okay, so here is a really nice selection of LPS. You've got trackies, cinerinas, some zoanthids, lobos. I don't remember whose tank this was exactly. I'm sorry about that, you guys, whoever that was. All right, here's some more beautiful scolies, just every color you can think of. There's UFOs, there's bleeding apples, there's war paints, there's masters, everything in between. I want to say this was one of the Salty Pets aquariums. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, because they're the ones that had like some of this super duper crazy scolies, and some really nice Cycloceras. We used to have a really great selection of cyclos like these from Indonesia, but not so much anymore. So we kind of rely on Australia to dig these up now. So this is again the Salty Pets. Salty Pets really showed up in strength. Who we have here? So this is Batavia's reef that I believe he shared with Dr. Fish, or Fish Doctor. Man, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. So on the right side or the top side, that would be Batavia. And he's got a lot of red and green jawbreaker style discosomas. And then also farms his own acros, including the real deal Acropora brolotensis from Western Australia. And the Fish Doctor, I'm pretty sure he had a lot of nice, Ghanies, and yeah, some really cool stuff. So, don't know whose tank this was, but there was another orange Scolemia that sold for big money. I want to say it was 2,000 Australian. I'm not super sure on the Scolemia itself, but it was just orange with red streaks and kind of a red and green streaked inside of the mouth. Just caught your attention from across the show floor. We are back now to Salty Pets. They had a tank full, absolutely chock full of hammer corals, and they had this really cool effect where they put a small wave on it, and just all of the hammer corals were just kind of pulsing in unison. It was really cool. And this is one of the corals here that just like totally stole the show. It was not completely open in this video, and I didn't get to see it completely open because the thing got sold like so early on, but it was essentially kind of black inside with orange tentacles, or green tentacles, and orange tips. This is one of those things that was close to what we see sometimes as a premium hammer coral, but then it had just a little extra to just push it into like Psycho Town territory. Just really awesome coral. Here's a more Cycloceras, I think, also from Salty Pets. Yeah, that would be those guys. And oh, I don't remember whose tank this was. This might have been Nick's Aquaterrarium. Oh no, I don't remember who that was. Okay, so here's the tank by Eastwood Aquariums, and they really went all out. They created these custom, kind of long, perfectly viewable top-down tanks that were elevated a lot higher, so it made it a lot easier for people to get a good look at the corals that they brought. And here are some fresh LPS and acros from Monsoon Aquatics. So these were from the Cairns to Northern Great Barrier Reef. And again, another fresh crop of SPS corals and frags, acros. These are, I believe, sustainable reefs that were in the Nature Aquariums booth. And just look at the price on that, $30 Australian, 2 for 50, and 3 for 70 or something. It was just insane. And definitely the award, if there's an award, for best frag presentation has to go to Gallery Aquatica. As you can see, it's just like perfectly OCD organized coral frags, all different styles, lots of encrusters, and big shout out to Cameron Tippett, who's also one of our speakers, and he showed off some of his best Australian tanks, because that's one of the things that he does is install and maintain tanks. And shout out to Anya, who had a baby like 2 or 3 weeks before ReefStock and still managed to come. So I really appreciate theirs and everybody's effort in coming out. There you go. It's just another like jaw-dropping assortment of Scullies. Okay, now I'm pretty sure this was Nick's aquarium and terrarium place. I know he's got a new name. I got one of those gold torch corals right there. Nick Ultra Corals picked up the other one. So shout out to you guys for bringing out some hot stuff. And this tank is actually Reef River Reptile had the least amount of improvement over last year, because last year they kind of set the bar, right? So last year they brought out this custom, slightly slanted front aquarium and packed it with, what did they pack it with? Like 200 Blastomussa frags or something, and yeah, they quickly saturated the local scene for Blastomussa. So this year they brought in a lot more diversity, including a lot of cool encrusted sculptures and stuff, and just incredible diversity of corals. Really, really super duper colorful. The Illumagic Vitamini strip lights were added to virtually everybody's tanks, and it just brought out this extra crazy level of pop. And I think it was Mark at Reef River Reptile. I really loved his passion and enthusiasm for this coral right here. It's a 20-year-old strain of baby blue Echinopora, I'm gonna guess Jamacia. This particular colony is only 9 or 10 months old, but real nice baby blue. And I just love that story where he brings out this kind of showpiece style coral and has it surrounded by frags of this coral. So you can tell people, hey, this coral's 20 years old. You can buy a frag of it for 20 bucks or so. This is another very nice, very large red carpet anemone. I'm telling you, the Australian appreciation for host anemones is second to none. I've actually seen a couple, or at least one really good host anemone aquarium, and it was really cool. And then, last but not least, one of the most awesome things at ReefStock Australia was an assortment of captive bred target mandarin dragonettes. And so these were, I think, about 180 days old. I think they were like $130 Australian. So they looked exactly like the perfect little mandarins that we get from Biota. About the same size, about the same equivalent price, but it was a completely different species. And it's just really cool to see how when they're very small, they have these little black spots under on the belly that kind of eventually morph into, you know, what we think of as a typical target mandarin color pattern. Very cool to see that. I hope you enjoy this eye candy. Check out the links below for more videos from ReefStock Australia. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me and enjoying that video of Yoshi's reef tank. If you didn't see that, you are definitely missing out. So go back and check that out. Yes, that's the eye candy from ReefStock Australia. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell so you don't miss another video.
Man, there were so many awesome memories of ReefStock, and I've been really upset that we've had to cancel the last couple of shows, but you know, unfortunately coronavirus has taken a really big foothold. I'm sure you guys know as well, but we are on the way to getting out of this and looking forward to the show. But speaking of the show, I'm going to bring up now a couple of the vendors that are going to be there. Unfortunately, we couldn't get everyone in the show, but outside of the guys that are coming up, there's Fish Are Friends, there's Nick's Aquarium, there's Gallery Aquatica, there's Nature Aquarium, there's Eastwood Aquarium, heaps of different distributors, the Pet Quarters boys, then you got Delua and Kate, who are going to be the gold sponsor in the middle, and just heaps and heaps and heaps of people. And I'm looking forward to seeing the caliber of coral that we've got coming this year, or next year, sorry. But until then, let's have a sneak peek with what these guys are hoarding for ReefStock 2022.
Hello peoples, Ollie here from Reflections Aquatics, and the gang at ReefStock have asked me to put a little video together to show you guys what we do. Really looking forward to ReefStock. It's been a long time coming, which probably just means that it's going to be even bigger and crazier than ever. So yeah, bring it on come February. Hope to see you all there. Before we take a stroll through the shop, I should mention that I'm currently moving premises. So the shop's a bit bare at the moment. Yeah, I'm slowly kind of winding down here and getting ready to move over to another location a couple of kilometres away, but there's still plenty of stuff to squeeze out here, so we'll take a bit of a wander through the shop and see what we can find. Okie dokie, so this tank to the left is our SPS holding system for wild SPS colonies. It's pretty bare at the moment, so I won't bother going doing close-ups on that one. Over to the right here, we've got our LPS holding systems. So this is for all the wild LPS colonies we get in, amongst other things, the odd Recordia, etc. But I'll mainly be bringing frags, or pretty much, exclusively frags up to ReefStock, but you might as well just have a little peek at the LPS section anyway. We'll move on to the frag section shortly. Over in the corner here, we got a few scraps, and this system here was going to be the new SPS display, but as we're moving shop, then we'll wait till we get to the new premises before we set that up. There was an SPS display in that section. That's a bit of a story, and I'll move on to that as we get later in the video. But over here we've got a little NEM tank, and then here we've got our little Zoa system, Zoa's morphs and rigs. Used to be a display as well, but it's kind of turned into a working, selling system until we get to the new shop. And this is the back room where all the magic happens. That's the SPS frag system. In terms of equipment, I'm running GHL Profilux KH Director, homemade porpoiser stirrer, not an old but a scrappy, glossy Deltec skimmer, Refugium, Coral Essentials, Trace, Aminos, Black Label. And then over here we've got our little LPS frag system. We'll scroll through here. Sorry about the patchy video, guys. The iPhone just can't quite work out what spectrum and colour to follow, but make do with what I got. And then let's take a little close-up ride over the SPS frags. So yeah, I'll mainly be bringing SPS frags up to ReefStock, and yeah, some kind of selected LPS frags, but yeah, you'll get a good idea here of what to expect come ReefStock.
What we do here is go back.
Anyways guys, that's pretty much it. Hope you've enjoyed the virtual tour. Looking forward to getting amongst it come February, and hope to see you all at ReefStock. Ciao for now.
Welcome guys to Future Fish. Today I'd like to show you this futuristic aquarium design that we've been working on for a year and a half, and it's finally happened. This actually started as a homeschool project with Ezekiel, and we originally wanted to make round aquariums, but the round acrylic tube in such large sizes was just too expensive, and so we started to look at, you know, your standard rectangular aquarium designs, and we're wondering why people weren't making more acrylic aquariums, and we started to hear stories about aquariums bursting and breaking open, and we thought, well, why don't we just make it out of thicker acrylic, and why don't we just key in the sections into slots. So that's what we've done. We've actually CNC machined out slots, and every single joint, every single time there's a piece of acrylic touching another piece, it's actually inside of a slot, and it's welded in with acrylic solvent, and it is very, very, very strong. It will not break. The acrylic will break before that joint breaks. So let me show you this design. I mean, we had some earlier designs that the kids worked on. Here's some designs here. That's one of them. That's another one. Well, that's a fancy looking door. But we actually got to a point where we were so happy with the design that we decided to start making them. We bought a CNC machine and we cleaned out the shed, painted the floor. There's Eden cleaning. And we got our new machine. We got it in, and then we realized the software wasn't great and needed upgrading. There's Ezekiel, very smart kid, does everything with me. He's probably going to work for NASA or Rocket Lab. So we actually replaced the controller on this CNC machine with a Masso G3 single board controller. We were very happy with that. And then we needed to do some upgrades to the machine. So there's the boys working on the machine, doing some repairs, replacing the seals. And there's Amos putting together the dust extraction system. And Grace helped me do a lot of the wiring and work out all of the inputs to the computer from the relay board. There's about 80 wires. Thanks, Grace. Now back to the aquarium. Let me just change the color of this so that we can have a closer look at it. That's the clear one. Alright, so okay, here's the filter box. Here's the weir. Now this is a bean animal filtration system which has got 3 pipes. It has this one here for the emergency overflow, this one here for the dorso standpipe which has a fitting on the top like a U-shaped fitting, and this one here is the main flow, and this 4th pipe here is actually from the return pump and has got the flexi hoses on it with the nozzles. Now the tank size is 1200 wide by 500 high and 450 deep. And the best thing about this futuristic design is that it's see-through. Everything is so clear that you can see all the water running down the pipes, all the water in the filter box, the water going through your filter socks into your first chamber here, and you can just see all the water going through all the different chambers. And it's like a new European trend. This is the way it's going, is that everything's on display. People spend a lot of money on the coral and on the fish, but also a lot of money on the filtration and the algae scrubbers and everything that's electronic that goes down here. That's all now controlled by your phone and LED lit. So it looks amazing. You should see my one. So the water comes down these pipes into the box at the back here. This fills up with water and then overflows into the 2 filter socks and then into the first chamber. So this is the first chamber here. That'll be for your protein skimmer and stuff like that. And try to include everything into this design. Try to pack in all the features. So you've got your refugium here. The weirs are adjustable, so you can adjust your flow to spin your Kato. You put your filter media in here, and then the water goes through this bubble trap into the return tank section for your return pump and your dosing, and then a hose goes from there up to this pipe here for your return to the display tank. This chamber here is your ATO for your top up water. This hole here is for your power cords. So this whole section on this side is your cabinet for all your dosing pumps and all your equipment, your controller, and there's a little shelf here, and there's an air vent there. You put your LED lit fan here, which sucks the air in, and the air goes back out that vent. The doors are on the side so that your display tank shares one single piece of 20mm acrylic all the way to the floor to the top of the tank, and that just looks stunning. Looks amazing, and it lights up amazing as well. And some people might not like the doors in the sides, but anyway, if you think of anything before we start building hundreds of these, send me an email, tell me what you think or what features you would like, because we're going to be selling these all over the world, and we're off to a good start. It's very futuristic. The feet, of course, it's got leveling feet. And what else to tell you? Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Drop a comment. Subscribe so I can show you the fully set up and lit up tank in the next video. Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, I hope that gets the blood flowing a little bit for the Aussies that are watching this video, and a little bit of drool factor from the guys that are watching abroad. Looking forward to ReefStock 2022 because it's been a while since we've had a show. But you know, special shout out to my mate Ollie from Reflections. He is literally down the road from me. A lot of the coral in this tank are from him. He's been my homie for a very, very long time, and you know, has some of the best SPS that I've seen. He had one of the best LPS and the best SPS display. Unfortunately, he did lose both of those tanks. One to a freak accident from a power failure, unfortunately, and he lost his entire SPS display tank, which I was calling one of the best SPS displays in Australia. And then unfortunately, his LPS tank, he did have to sell all of the stuff in there because their family hit a really, really big speed hump in their lives, and unfortunately his partner was diagnosed with cancer, so he had to sell all of the livestock in there just to fund sort of their treatment. All of the hobbyists in Australia did get together and created a GoFundMe, and the outpouring of love from everyone across Australia to support that GoFundMe, we raised him close to $40,000 to help Ollie and his family. So, you know, I'm really, really grateful to all the guys that did help that GoFundMe and supported the event and helped, you know, really get them through a really tough time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the frags that Ollie's going to bring up in person. You've got the Canberra Marine boys who've been fragging like crazy and growing some absolutely exceptional coral. And I'm really, really looking forward. I saw them at a frag show last year sometime at Pet Quarters in Newcastle, and they had some spectacular stock, and I've seen some of the stuff that they've been listing lately online, and it's getting better and better by the day, so I can't wait to check them out in person. So for anyone else that needs some information about ReefStock Australia 2022 in February, hit up the website. We'll leave a link in the description down below, and you can also hit up the Facebook page, which is starting to get really active now, ReefStock Australia, and all of the latest updates are going to be there with vendors, coral, and sneak peeks of which we should be willing to expect there. But make sure you keep up with the socials, and I cannot wait. Seeing a lot of this video of ReefStock, the best part about catching up at ReefStock is obviously seeing all the vendors, seeing all the spectacular coral. But the social aspect, and boy do we need a social aspect after the crazy lockdowns that we've experienced here in Australia, catching up with just reef buddies and talking all things reef. It's probably the absolute highlight of my weekend, being able to just talk about nothing but fish and coral all weekend. Guys, does that not sound good, or tell me what? Again, guys, just another reminder, please leave those comments in this comment section down below, because we are about to draw the prize, which is the Ecotech Marine Radion G5 LED light. And we're going to draw the winner now. And to everyone that joined into this live stream, thank you very much for tuning in. I wish you guys the best of luck. Look forward to seeing all the Aussies at ReefStock Australia 22. Be sure to jump over to my YouTube channel, First Time Reefer TV, and check out the build here. And while you guys are there checking out the build, give me a thumbs up and subscribe on the video as well. Well, my friends, thank you for tuning into this video. If you guys like this video, smash that like button. Leave a comment down below to win yourself an Ecotech Radion G5 light. And my friends, be sure to subscribe to this channel. And until next time, peace!